Albert Einstein changed the world's perspective. Henry Ford revolutionized the car industry. Walt Disney changed the way we do animation. And Agatha Christie was one of the world's most famous writers. Thomas Edison lights up the theater that I'm standing in right now. And there are so many others, but I couldn't all fit them in here. They all have something in common. You would probably think that what they have in common is that they changed the world. And yes, that may be true, but it's not all they have in common. So what could it be? Is it that all of them did something new? That they did something different? Something no one ever thought of before? Well, they couldn't do it the usual way, because all of these people were dyslexic. They couldn't write or read the usual way, so they had to find new strategies. And later on, they learned to apply this to their work. So why am I telling you this? Well, I'm telling you this because I never thought I would ever stand here, or at any secondary school after turning 16. I could not even spell my own name until I was 13 years old. I was officially diagnosed with dyslexia when I was 7, but I've been part of a very long-lasting dyslexia research of 3 Dutch universities since I was 10 months old. Their last promotion was in January of this year. So I've been part of this research almost my entire life. They looked for children who had a high chance of getting dyslexia because one or more of their parents had the diagnosis. And because my dad has a very heavy form of dyslexia, I was put in the research as part of the risk group. They did this at such a young and early age to determine dyslexia very young and early, but also to figure out a way to see how dyslexic brain develops. And after 6 years of being in this, they finally concluded that I indeed have the heaviest form of dyslexia. If you would scale it, I have a 9 out of 10. But this actually makes me very lucky. Not that I have dyslexia, but that I knew that from such a young and early age. I knew that my brain was just a little different, so I had to do things a little different. I loved reading. And I wanted to read as many books as the other kids, but I couldn't. It took me so much time to read them. But I was born in the 21st century, so all the books I want to read are now as audiobooks on my phone. And I couldn't read subtitles, so I just had to learn English. I learned it from watching movies and YouTube videos. I didn't use any textbooks. I always did things different, because I couldn't do them the usual way. And the world around me made that possible for me. It made it possible for me to stand here today. So, what could have held me back? What is dyslexia? The official explanation is that dyslexia is a reading disorder that involves difficulty writing due to problems identifying speech sounds and relating them back to words. This may sound a bit difficult to understand, so I will explain it a bit more clear. Dyslexia is biological. It's just how your brain works. It's something you're born with. So it will always stay with you because there is no cure for it. Dyslexia is very hard to have, but you don't actually see things differently. You just process things differently. But to let you understand how dyslexia would feel like, here is a simulation. It simulates the frustration of having dyslexia. But this could maybe one person's dyslexia, but not someone else's, because dyslexia is a spectrum. One person may have difficulty reading while someone else has difficulty writing, or distinguishing left from right. There are actually quite a lot of different forms of dyslexia, because it's a spectrum. And there are actually a lot of different symptoms. So one person may have difficulty remembering numbers, colors, may have bad handwriting, or even difficulty remembering people's names, which is, of course, quite a good excuse if you're on a party. But it's quite irritating as well. As far as we know, dyslexia is caused by the cerebrum. The cerebrum in a non-dyslexic person's brain is like a library. It stores all your words perfectly. It puts them down, and when you want to find a word, your brain can do that at lightning speed. But now you have to think that in a dyslexic person's brain, that library has burned down. There's only one part left, and it's a complete mess. It takes a dyslexic reader about 3 times the amount a non-dyslexic reader would take to find these same words. Knowing that dyslexic people use their brain a different way is interesting, but it doesn't really explain why. Why do they only use this part, and what actually causes it? Well, the truth is that not a lot that is known about dyslexia. We know that a dyslexic person's brain is bigger than a non-dyslexic person's brain. We know that that is caused by the left hemisphere that is bigger, but we don't know what that's used for. Dyslexia is very easy to see that it's real. There is a lot of evidence to support that dyslexia is actually there. But there's still a lot of people who just don't believe that. They think it's just an excuse. It's just an excuse for being lazy. Or they will say, well, it's a curse. And this is, of course, extremely harmful because it discourages dyslexics from learning. It makes them believe that they're just stupid. And what if they would believe that? What if they would believe that they're just stupid? Why would they even try to use their abilities? Where would this world be without people who stepped out of the system by using their abilities? They're being put into school systems that just don't apply to them. They're being put into boxes where they don't fit into. It's like a children's toy. You're a square, and the world around you is a circle. And you are being trying to pushed and pushed and pushed into the same circle, but you just don't fit in there. And yes, after years of pushing, you may finally fit through, but all the essential parts that once made you a square are gone. And you will never be the best fit in this circle form society that we live in. And these years of pushing and pushing, it has taken you so much time and energy, but the world around you will just tell you, well, you are just being lazy. You're not putting in enough effort. Or they will say, well, you're just stupid. And that's why you're not fitting in. You will never be something. And what if you would believe that? Why would you even try? The dyslexia dropout rate is 35%. That's more than 1/3 of all dyslexics. The heavier your dyslexia is, the higher the chance of you not completing a high school education. And what if you do? What if you do pursue an education above primary school? Well, you will soon find out that even if you were wonderful at arts, humanities, sciences, you will never get good grades for them. Because, well, it doesn't really matter if you understand the material, make great art, or even come up with entire new equations. It matters if you can read the question asked just right. It matters if you can spell the answer just right. It matters if you can structure a well-written essay. And this, well, you find yourself struggling under institutions that just don't support your differences. And you start hating school, but more importantly, yourself. People with dyslexia have a highly increased risk of getting depression. So they reach out to different types of feeling happiness. Drugs. 40% of all people in the US seeking help for substance abuse have a form of dyslexia. Keep in mind that only 10 to 20% of the world's population has dyslexia. And if you stopped going to high school, well, there's a big chance that you ended up on the streets or got involved with crime. But some take a path that is different from crime and addiction. They know that they're not stupid. They fight. They take matters into their own hands. I'm happy to tell you that 60% of all self-made millionaires have a form of dyslexia. I'm even happier to tell you that more than half of the people that work at NASA have dyslexia. You may even say that the people at NASA actually look for people who have dyslexia because of their amazing problem-solving skills and excellent spatial awareness. And all those world changers I showed you before were dyslexic. They are changing this world to make it more lovable for all of us, dyslexic or not. They're making and solving their own puzzles. They are inventing computer tech from scratch. And then, well, then they make those computers read what you just wrote and write what you just said. They make those computers read the books that you maybe hated. They're changing this world by doing things a different way, by connecting them a different way, to get the results in their way. Like one of the most famous dyslexics once said, you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. So you have to trust that it will somehow connect in your future. This was said by Steve Jobs. And whatever the way you may do something, how you connect the dots doesn't matter in the long run. Thinking outside of these, or maybe the set path of dots, is what got us where we are today. Let's cheer for that. Let people break the rules. Let them connect the dots a different way. Thank you.